people, and welcome to the Counterfaction Stories YouTube channel. Today we will talk about forfeiting in chess. Before we start, don't forget to press subscribe button. First whoever forfeit a chess game by losing on time was actually James Mason in 1882. It happened at Vienna, where everyone played with a chess timing piece. In 1889, James Mason lost to David Baird at a chess tournament in New York after 8 moves. Mason had visited a room just before the game and was unable to play any further because he was too drunk. In 1895, at Hastings, William Steinitz was about to checkmate Kurt von Bardelben. Bardelben, rather than resigning, got up from his chair and left the room. He didn't come back. Tournament official found him outside the hall pacing angrily. He would not return to the game, and 50 minutes later, Bardelben was forfeited and Steinitz won the game on time. In 1913, at Scheveningen, Gyula Breyer lost his game to Frederick Yates after failing to show up an hour after the game had started. Someone telephoned the hotel in time to reach Breyer, but the message came back that Breyer had left the hotel and was on his way. It turned out afterward that a hotel person who received the message mistook Alejan for Breyer. They looked alike, so nothing else could be done but let the clock run out. Breyer said afterwards that he would never stay with Alejan at the same hotel. In the same tournament, Arnold van Foreest forfeited the game against Alejan where he did not show up. In 1927, at Kecskemét, Hans Müller waited until it was time to seal a move. Instead of sealing a move, he wrote "I resign" on his score sheet and never showed up in his adjourned game. He forfeited his game. Back in 1935, at the Warsaw Chess Olympiad, Isaiah Piecci of Argentina claimed his game on time forfeit against Miguel Najdorf. Najdorf made his move just before time control, but before he could press the button on the chess clock. Piecci picked up the chess clock and ran away with it. Piecci said he could not forcibly stop Najdorf from making his move and writing it down on his score sheet. The arbiters were unable to determine who was telling the truth, so they let the chess clock decide the issue. Najdorf lost the game on the time and forfeited. In 1942, the flag of Samuel Reshevsky, his clock fell against Arnold Denker in the US Chess Championship in New York. This should have resulted in Reshevsky forfeiting and losing on time. However, the tournament director Walter Stephens, who was standing behind the clock, flipped it around and looking at Reshevsky's side of the clock, now appearing as it was Denker's side of the clock, announced that Denker lost on time. He refused to correct his error, explaining that Kemso Mountain Landis reserved himself. The crowd demonstrated its disapproval with boos and jeers. Denker filed a protest as Reshevsky was not keeping his own score and the players were using a better chess clock that had no flag indicators. If there were no flag indicators, how did Stephens know who lost on time? The erroneous ruling allowed Reshevsky to tie for first place with Isaac Kazdan. Reshevsky then won the playoff match to become US champion 6 months later. In 1961, Bobby Fischer forfeited Game 12 against Sammy Reshevsky over a scheduling conflict. Fischer then withdrew from the match and resigned in protest. At the time, the match was tied after 11 games. The 12th games were scheduled for a Saturday, but was pushed forward to Sunday afternoon due to Reshevsky's unwillingness to play on the Sabbath. However, Mrs. Gregor Piategorski, one of the sponsors of the match, had a Sunday afternoon commitment that she didn't want to miss. His husband was performing in a concert, and so intervened to have the game scheduled for Sunday morning instead of Sunday afternoon. Reshevsky agreed to play then. Fischer didn't want to, and so sat at his hotel room as his clock ran out, deliberately forfeiting the game. Eventually, Fischer took the matter into the courts and sued Reshevsky over the incident. In 1962, Michael Tal forfeited his game in the candidates tournament at Curaçao due to illness. He had undergone a major operation shortly before the tournament and had to withdraw 3/4 of the way through. In August 1967, Bobby Fischer forfeited his game against Mildred Nejovic in Skopje, Yugoslavia. However, he appealed and was able to play the game. Same year, at the Swiss Interzonal, Bobby Fischer asked for a free day to ease his tough chess schedule due to postponements. After his demand was not met, Fischer did not show up for his game against Ivars Gipslis and was forfeited. Gipslis did not want to win a forfeit and wanted to play Fischer at Fischer's convenience. But Soviet officials told Gipsils he was not to play Fischer and to take the win on forfeit. Fischer forfeited a second game, then withdrew for the tournament. In 1970, Oscar Pano forfeited his game with Bobby Fischer at the Palma de Mallorca Interzonal. Fischer played c4 and went to find Pano, not wanting to win on forfeit. Pano eventually came to the board but did not make a move and lost on time. Pano refused to play to protest the organizer's rescheduling of the game to accommodate Fischer's desire not to play on his religions, Worldwide Church of God, Sabbath on Saturday. In 1970, same year, at the Chess Olympiad in Skopje, Yugoslavia, Viktor Korchnoi overslept and missed his round against Spain, forfeiting his game. The round started at 3 p.m. and Korchnoi showed up after 4 p.m. Next, in the 1972, Fischer forfeited his second game against Boris Spassky in the World Chess Championship match in Reykjavik, Iceland. Fischer demanded that all cameras in the playing area be removed. When they were not, he refused to appear for Game 2, giving a default win to Spassky. In 1975, Bobby Fischer forfeited his world champion title to Anatoly Karpov by refusing to play a world championship match. Fischer demanded that the match be won by the first player to win 10 games, with no limit to number of the games. The champion will retain the title in the event of the 9-9 score. FIDE's rules were limited of 24 games, and the reigning champion retained the title in the event of 12-12 tie. At the 1976 World Open in New York, a stronger player used the identity of a weaker friend in one of the lower sections. The stronger player was winning all his games until his identity was found out. Director Bill Goichberg had a talk with the person who forfeited the rest of the games and left the tournament. In 1982, the Ugandan chess team forfeited the first round match at the 1982 Chess Olympiad in Lucerne, in Switzerland, because they showed up late. They went to the wrong city thinking the Chess Olympiad was at Lugano instead of Lucerne, Switzerland. Lugano was the home of the 1968 Chess Olympiad. In 1983, Casparo forfeited his match against Viktor Korchnoi, which was supposed to be played in Pasadena, California. The decision was later reserved and the match was played in London, where Kasparov won. In July 1993, an unrated African-American player named John von Neumann was accused of cheating in the open section of the World Open after defeating a 2,350 rated player and drawing his game with a grandmaster. The player wore headphones and seemed to have a suspicious bulge in his pockets, which appeared to be making noises at the important points of the game. When he was quizzed by Bill Goichberg, the tournament director, he was unable to demonstrate very much knowledge in some simple chess concepts. He was accused of using a chess computer and cheating, and his games were forfeited. He was never seen again. In 1996, during the 12th European Cup at Budapest, the Israeli team withdrew to protest its 6-0 forfeit to another team that refused to alter the playing schedule from 2 p.m. to 10 a.m. on Friday in order to finish their games before sundown. Orthodox Jews are forbidden to work or even write down chess moves on their Sabbath. In 1999, World Women Champion Susan Polgar refused to accept the match conditions between her and Xie Yan and forfeited her title. She did not want to play the World Championship match in China. In October 2003, Russian Grandmaster Ruslan Ponomaryov and former world champion became the first grandmaster to forfeit a chess game because of his mobile phone. It rang during his game in round 1 of the European Team Championship in Bulgaria. He lost his game to Swedish GM Evgeny Agrest, who lost a game in 2004 when his cell phone rang in his Ukrainian team match versus Sweden. Ponomaryov protested and refused to sign the score sheet indicating his loss. In 2004, Evgeny Agrest was forfeited in his game when his cell phone rang. Was it Ponomaryov calling? It's a good question. In 2006, GM Vladimir Kramnik was forfeited his 5th game of the match against Veselin Topalov in the World Championship match in Russia. Kramnik arrived for the game and discovered that his bathroom was locked. He staged a sit-in outside of the bathroom and after an hour FIDE forfeited the game to Topalov. Topalov had earlier filed a written protest with the organizers charging that Kramnik was going to his private bathroom too many times during the games. The insinuation was that Kramnik might be cheating by consulting a computer while in the bathroom, the only room with no cameras. In 2006, at the World Open in Philadelphia, Steve Rosenberg was leading before the final round in one of the sections. He was playing for $18,000 if he won his last round, but he was caught using a wireless transmitter and receiver in his car. Rosenberg claimed it was a hearing aid. His last game was forfeited and he was disqualified from the event. In January 2008, Grandmaster Ben Feingold won his game at the Mid-America Open chess tournament when his opponent's cell phone went off during their game and he was forfeited. In August 2008, a chess player in Malaysia forfeited and lost a chess game because his phone rang during the birthday reminder. In 2011, Grandmaster Aslangai Maghanimi was disqualified from a chess tournament in Corsica after he refused to play his 4th round opponent Israeli FIDE master Ehud Shassar. In 2012, 6 players from Soviet Georgia were all forced to forfeit their games at the 13th European Individual Championship. They failed to arrive at the boards on time after setting their clocks wrong at the daylight savings time. In 2013, Borislav Ivanov was forfeited for not taking off his shoes when asked during a tournament in Blagoevgrad. Before the tournament, all participants had agreed to undergo such procedures. Ivanov refused to do this, saying he had smelly socks. In April 2015, GM Wesley So was forfeited against Veruzabah Akobian in the 9th round of the US Championship after 6 moves for writing notes to himself. So was reminded twice not to take notes and that the 3rd violation would result in forfeiture. So continued to take notes on a separate piece of paper and was forfeited by the arbiter Tony Rich. I hope you like this episode. Don't forget to press subscribe button and see you very soon. Bye.